Man's running for United States Senate, and all he cares about right now is his reputation. I work at the mayor's office, and this is a big problem. I've been trying to be very quiet about the way that he is for the sake of my kids and his reputation. I've tried to keep the way that he acts under wraps for a long time, and today he crossed the line. So that is what is going on here, and he's a great actor. He is phenomenal at putting on a really good show.
That's the Senate candidate Raphael Warnock's ex-wife, telling a Georgia police officer back in March that her husband is a great actor and phenomenal at putting on a really good show, but also then accusing Warnock of deliberately running over her foot. Now, that's an allegation that Warnock himself has denied. According to police, his wife did not have any visible injuries related to that domestic dispute. Now, this comes as the Georgia Senate runoff is actually clouded with some uncertainty. The Senate majority is still up in the air, some believing that Joe Biden's cabinet picks may become delayed until after the January 5th election that's going to occur down in Georgia. We want to bring in the director of the National Diversity Coalition for Trump, Bruce LeVell. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. So what is your take right now, seeing that body cam footage, all of the accusations that have been made against the Reverend, where we're talking about the lack of patriotism, whether we're talking about his love affair with socialism? Is this perhaps the final straw that breaks the camel's back in this runoff attempt that he's making right now?
Well, Joe, thanks for having me. Listen, I'm here in Atlanta, and my dad's from Noon, and my family, we are rich in terms of grassroots, being born and raised here in Atlanta. And we know Raphael, and I know many members of the congregation of Ebenezer, family members, been members there all the way back when Dr. King, my uncle, actually served with Reverend Dr. King and Abernathy during this SCLC movement. So I have a rich, robust history on my dad's side here in Atlanta. But let me tell you about Brother Raphael, is that she is absolutely right. You know, I tell you, I knew this was going to come down way back when he wanted to step out and run for Senate. The problem is that there's a problem here is the fact that she's actually right about what she's saying about him. If you ever had a chance to go to the King celebration that's held annually at Ebenezer, Raphael Warnock goes out there in the congregation, in the pulpit, and says the most incendiary things imaginable towards conservatives and using it as a political platform instead of using it for what Dr. King's legacy and my uncle fought for, which is equal rights for all, justice for all, not one-sided with these terrible incendiary comments that Raphael comes out. So he does have questionable, and I've warned a lot of folks in the ministry, like, listen, this is fair game. Just because you're a pastor and you put your name on the ballot, that doesn't exempt you from getting everyone going through your past and what you've been through. So you don't get a pass on this, and you're going to be susceptible to the public's view like any other candidate. And yes, sir, he absolutely has. And this has nothing to do with Republican, Democrat, anything. This gets down to character as relate to this man putting his name on this ballot.
Well, to that point about character, Democrats spent basically the last 2 years trying to put character on the ballot, saying that all Republicans were either deplorable or irredeemable. Even the individuals that Joe Biden has suggested should be joining his administration have suggested in kind. And so how does the American public find a way to parse through this? You have people like Governor Cuomo here in New York who have been accused of sexual harassment. It's been met with silence from the media. You've had individuals across the spectrum who've had these accusations. Now Reverend Warnock himself facing questions of character and abuse towards his wife or ex-wife there. How do we get through the point where we get the people at home to be able to understand intuitively that there's a level of hypocrisy when it comes to making sure that people can actually just be trusted?
Yeah, well, let's take President Trump, for example. I helped start his diversity coalition back in 2015, Joe. And let me tell you, the initiatives in terms of the policies and everything that the president pushed towards the opportunity zones. You saw the Platinum Plan. That was $500 billion worth of infrastructure that he proposed here in Atlanta few months ago, and lo and behold, it's not even mentioned the stimulus bill, which is another conversation. These positive initiatives is what we have been pushing as a conservative movement. Now, remember, the left, Warnock, Ossoff, and that whole entire Biden crowd, we are basically putting a strong message in a, quote, environment that has historically voted Democrat their entire life. And like the president says, what the heck do you have to lose? he put up, and look at the numbers, the highest black voter turnout since 1960, Joe, highest Latino vote, 41% ever in the history. Heck, the Jewish vote was up over 30+%. These are strong policy that the president pushed, which is a win-win for all, which is essentially what this whole movement is about. So this is a threat to the left, the Warnock crowd, the Ossoff crowd, especially here in Georgia, trying to make us out to be the boogeyman and keep the poor little black folk over in the corner. Don't you dare go over there. And how dare you even embrace and take a policy that is positive, that can uplift your small businesses, how it can uplift your community, that can create jobs. So this is an all-out assault on us, once again, for many years of conservatives, trying to control their base, Joe, trying to keep everyone, quote, as brown Americans, quarantined over there. Don't you dare come over there and talk to those conservatives. So this is one of many ways that they try to intimidate us.
Right, well, to that, we got about 30 seconds here, but to that point, you talk about President Trump's level of outreach, what the work that was done with Black Voices for Trump. You're talking about the precipitous increase in African-American support for a Republican candidate and President Trump, precipitous increase in support from Latino support. You know, they've got stories of, basically Stacey Abrams showing up with, basically trucks full of full of votes. How do we get that to actually continue here into this runoff?
Yeah, well, we just got to stay diligent ahead. And, the whole confidence, unfortunately, in our voting process is just questionable everywhere, especially in our battleground states. But I'm encouraging all the viewers, get out there, get involved, be engaged, vote, 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 vote. Listen, if it ain't broke, Joe, don't fix it. We have record number stock markets. We got record number job growth. We have a low black unemployment, especially here in Georgia, #1 place to do business. These are strong accomplishments that Senator Perdue and Senator Loeffler voted on aggressively and 100% in these policies have been win-win. So I think with respect to that, we do have a great record. So we always say, are you better off now than you were in that previous administration, especially for brown Americans? And the answer is we are better now. We had COVID. We can get through this.
Yeah, absolutely. Bruce, have to leave it there. Thanks so much, my friend. Merry Christmas to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.